Hello, and welcome to the Grand Trains catalog review of Lionel's new 2026 Big Book catalog. This is going to be my first catalog review on this channel. I don't have a webcam, so um, we're just going to have to do it the old school way of recording my screen and voice. And I just want to go through the catalog. Up front, I just want to say that I'm coming from this point of view catalog from having railroad experience. I used to be a conductor, at least a trainee conductor in the Reading and Northern, and a year switching railroad. So my interests in the technical details are different to a lot of others. And I just wanted to say that I've seen a lot of other people's catalog reviews. Mine's a little late. I've seen a lot of people misunderstanding things about the catalog. Um, so I just want to go through and give my 2 cents on it real quick. And none of this is scripted. I'm just going to freehand it. I've already seen the catalog. Kind of just go through, point out some things, and also point out what I'm looking at. So here we go. First couple pages, getting into here is the American 250. None of this is going to be on my ordering list. I think it's really, really cool. I'm not a huge fan of the Reading T1s or the T1 in general, the 484. That is just overplayed, my opinion. But that is just my opinion. The American Freedom Train is really, really cool. I've never seen it. I'm not old enough to have seen it. And I'm sure for those people who have seen it, if I was old enough to have been alive in 1976 and seen this, this would 100% be something I would order, I think. But as I was not, I mean, I could still do it, but it's just not up my alley. So I'm going to flip through the couple first pages here. Again, this is just stuff that I appreciate it, but it's not something for me. Same thing with this semi-scale stuff. Now, what did catch my eye is this caboose. I've started buying some more cabooses in the last year or so, and this looks very similar to one that Atlas did in the Burlington Northern paint scheme. For those of you who know what that looks like, you know what that looks like. Otherwise, you just look it up. I have a Lionel boxcar that they did a while back that is pretty much exactly the same thing as this. Slightly different paint job. It's all white. Has the lights. The flag lights up as well. It just says 1776 instead of America 250. Very cool car. I already have one. Uh, for those of you that don't, that's a good one to get if you want something kind of neat, a little different. Just skipping over these couple of pages, we'll just kind of get through. Now, here's something that I was excited to see. I spent a year as a engineer, conductor, brakeman, switchman on rail serve out in Blair, Nebraska, and on site we had a GP38-2, GP39-3, and a GP40-2. GP40-2 that I operated was number 3822, which is an ex-Baltimore and Ohio unit, and then sold to Larry's Truck Electric. So that is a unit that I've actually been inside the cab of, been at the controls of, ridden on in several different ways, on the front, on the rear, whatever, conductor duties. I find these really, really, really interesting. Lionel has proven with the last diesel run of ET44s last year and into this year that they are looking to upgrade their diesel fleets with better detailing. It is going to add price, unfortunately, for many people's wallets, but you can't have your cake and eat it too in some cases, and adding more details and keeping the price the same. That just isn't good for business. But hey, I'm not an expert. That's just an opinion. Anyway, I'm glad to see these features. Nose length and lighting, the correct size nose coming out from the cab, dynamic and brakes and radiator intakes appear. The correct size fuel tanks. Some of these in the next couple pages are going to have the correct size of fuel tanks. The side truck frames, it's going to be here. Better detailing on the side. Sorry. So this is going to have your brake cylinder and your pistons modeled. Now, obviously, they don't come in and out like the real thing, but then in some cases, you have a brake shoe on this side of the wheel and this side of the wheel. Other cases, you just have it on the inside only. The GP40-2 that we had brake shoes only on the inside. On this model, you can see there's a brake shoe here and there's a brake shoe here. Obviously, you have your suspension and then your axles, and so many times these are going to have the electronics for the speedometer right onto the axle. I don't remember if it's on the rear or the front. I believe for convenience it's on the front because it just runs straight up through the floor, straight up to your speedometer box up here. Let's see, cab sub base. So that's going to be, I believe, this area right here, right underneath the cab. There's a couple of details that I'm seeing here, some extra piping, air tank here. Side sill, that's just going to be this right here underneath what the railings are attached to, right at the side of the walkway. In this case, for this B&O, this has a car track sticker, so that's kind of neat. That's the original barcode, and it's because of this is why we scan items at the grocery store now. With that black and white code, it's right here. There's a documentary on YouTube about that. That's a really neat thing to go and learn about. Traction motor blower duct. To my best of my knowledge, that is going to be up here somewhere. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's on the other side. It's it's on the conductor side, and it's that big bulge that comes out and prevents the conductor from having a door that goes to the outside of the locomotive, just like instead of the engineer, which has he can come back in and out of the locomotive on the backside, and the blower motor duct is on the opposite side, conductor side. So my bad. That's that big box. If you see that big bulge right behind the conductor's window, that's what that is. ECAF boxes, I actually don't know what that is. I didn't do any prior research to this, but if you can just give me 1 second here, I can just quickly. Electrical cabinet air filter box. So, yeah, I don't know what that is. We didn't deal with those on the railroad that I was part of. Um, but good on Lionel to include the air filter boxes where they're supposed to be. To the best of my knowledge, they're going to be up on the top somewhere where it pulls air in. Um, but again, I don't actually know, so just a guess. So horn, antenna, and more. So that's going to be good for example if you have a firecracker antenna or normal like I guess you call it lightning antenna, the ones that are angled at 45 degrees. You'll see them on the Rio Grandes when I get to there. Um, I really like the new sounds that they're saying they're going to be in these things. I can't wait to hear them. The new ET44s blew my socks off after a decade of hearing these same old engine sounds. The fact that Lionel is going out and getting these correct sounds, getting an extended startup, extended shutdown, better crew talk. Um, Speaking of the ET44, the when it starts up and says she's hot and ready to eat, love that crew talk. That was pretty cool. So I can't wait to see what these things have. We said a lot of cool things on the radio because we thought we were hot shots at my job, so that was funny. Um, yeah, just a lot of extra lighting, a lot of extra um, details. So I'm not surprised to see the price tag. I saw some people complaining like, "Hey, why is the smoke unit more than the powered unit?" Um, to the best of my knowledge, it's the we've gotten mass production of the motors, so it's easier to uh, price those down at where they are. Lionel could easily have just charged what they're charging for the smoke unit, um, the breakdown unit, and then charge $50 more for the powered, but they're not doing that. They're making it affordable where they can, so I 100% get it. Um, Also, it makes complete sense that they're going to break these diesels up, being that they're offering three of each road number or railroad. Makes complete sense. I mean, if you think about it, 850 bucks retail, you multiply, say you get two of them, well, you're at the price of a legacy engine, and if you get three, well, you're well past in the 2,500, going on $3,000 range, and that's about where you would be for like a Vision Line steam engine, like a big boy or something. But the cool part is, in this case, it's sub $1,000 per unit, and it gives you a chance to get into Vision Line features like all of these extra road specific details and lights and sounds and all of that, because a diesel doesn't have much to offer compared to a steam engine, which has all your rods and your moving wheels and your different smoke elements. A diesel just kind of moves. So you kind of have to do something else to make it Vision Line, and in this case, they're really stepping up the game to make it that Vision Line. Um, it's not die-cast. I heard some people mention about that. To me, I can give or take die-cast. It doesn't really affect my enjoyment of the model, whether it's die-cast or not. If it is, cool. If it's not, also cool. Um, the thing that matters is it have the details? Does it show the fact that it's an actual model, that they're looking at the correct things and putting those things onto the model so that it is a version of that model that they say it is. Um, I've always liked the BN. I'll get on to that real quick. I really like the Cascade green and the white stripes. I like how the two different models here, two different road numbers, have a beacon light and horn swapped. That's a cool detail. I haven't looked up historical photos of those, but if Lionel's doing it, I'm sure they're doing it for a reason. And kudos to them. I would probably want to order eventually in the next 5 years pretty much every single one of these GP40s. I haven't even heard them yet. Just for the sole fact that I've worked on these things, changed their brake shoes, bled out the airlines, um, all that good stuff. Just being around them for a couple of years is just one of those like, hey man, I know what these things are. I know what they're capable of. I know what to do. I know how to start them up, shut them down, change the oil, change the brakes, all of that. Love this CSX Y2. Sorry, I'm skipping over chassis. Chassis, there's nothing wrong with chassis. It's just you got to pick a railroad, right? You got to model something, and well, I'm into the Rio Grande. It's no surprise. Grand Trains, Rio Grande. Um, I've always seen YouTube videos of lash ups with DRGW units with foreign power, like, for example, CSX or BN. Pentrix has a show from 1986 Rio Grande that I was just recently watching, where they showed a consist of BN units behind one or two Rio Grande leaders. So I would eventually want to get one of these, but for budgetary reasons, I'm going to just get one Rio Grande, and this is the one I'm looking at. 3128. Reason being is I just find that the car track detail on the handrails here is a little bit more cooler, in proper English, but a little cooler than just having on the cab. Excuse me. Just found like that's a neat detail. Here's that antenna I was talking about. This is what I don't know if the proper term is lightning antenna, but it's got that angledness to it. And then one of the other diesels along here had a firecracker antenna, and I can't remember which one it was. Here it is. The original CSX has that firecracker antenna. Just a different type of radio equipment, requires a different type of antenna, different year. I'm modeling late 80s into mid 90s, more focused on the 90s side around the time I was born. And man, it'd be really cool to have all three Rio Grande units and maybe one or two BNs and a CSX. I definitely am interested in one of these, but I can always get it secondhand. And that's the cool part. I can get into a Vision Line engine. It's under $1,000, and boom, you get all the cool stuff. So this has all the marker lights. This has the gyro lights, the correct headlights. It's gonna have the kinematic pilots, which I like. I'm sure, being Vision Line, it's gonna, have all the chains, the walkways, step lighting, truck lighting. Potentially, they didn't, I don't know if they mentioned it, but could have an extra light or something up here in the walkway by the Rio Grande logo. I'm not sure about that at the moment. Obviously, you got your standard sand fills. It's a GP40 because of the extra radiator fan here. Sorry, this one, the third one. This is your dynamo fan. Some of these GP40s, the original ones, didn't have the. I think the dynamo was optional. There's one or two railroads out there that didn't run these, but more often than not they had them. Even if they're installed, if you go to like a leaser, like what we had at LTEX, we had the dynamos installed, but they were disabled. We weren't trained to use them, and I believe they were disconnected because we didn't need them for switching operations. It was just 5-10 miles an hour slugging out corn and ethanol and a couple of chemical tanks and stuff at a plant. But these are really versatile. You can use them in switching operations. You can use them in road operations. Um, Lionel says that these were even used on the ski train. That is true, but so were the GP60s. So were the F40s from Amtrak that were repainted. Ski train's a really cool thing to model. I have a couple of versions of that, scale and semi-scale, a couple of different power for that. Um, so definitely going to get one of these as an option. I already have the ski train power for the GP60s and the F40s, but this is just going to be another set of power. Something a little different, something a little newer. Love the fact that it has the gyro lights, and I know Third Rail just came out with those trailers, the spine trailers. So if I get one of these are used to be used as the high-speed intermodal trailer train and power, like you would see on Santa Fe and whatnot. The Rio Grande did the same thing, and there's plenty of photos online about that for you guys who want to just look up the historical context. And yeah, maybe I'll get one of those eventually. I didn't order them, but I kind of wanted to see what they look like first. And you can if they're getting made, you can always buy them secondhand. Somebody will always sell. I'd like to see these in person as soon as they come out because it'd be really cool to see where the spitters are right here. Spitters and the valve cutout piping and stuff like that. For those of you who know what that is, awesome. For those of you who don't, it's just a bunch of these spitters are for the air brakes, and they when water and moisture build up inside, they spit the moisture out. They're supposed to drain the moisture out, and there's a drain plug out here, or drain valves along this area underneath the frame. There's also usually a valve cutout for the air brakes, and this will override the brake system on one truck only. So you obviously would keep your handbrake up here on the conductor side tied, and then you come and dump one. Usually you have to use chocks as well on the wheels, and then turn your valve. The air brakes piston will come in, pushes the brakes off for you, and then you can safely, with them cut out, go ahead and change your brake shoes. Just cool little details. Not that we're ever going to do that no scale, but the fact if you know how these things work and you've worked around them, there's a bigger appreciation than just saying, "Oh hum," give me more steam, boring diesel. NS is cool. I don't know if I'll ever get one of these. Maybe. I just like the GP40 a lot. Who knows? Maybe I'll end up collecting every single one and say I bought the entire line. This is neat as well. The Southern Pacific has the air conditioning unit. Now, these would have been after the merger with Rio Grande. This is pre-merger. No air conditioning unit. They got some crew comfort upgrades after merger, before Union Pacific took them over. All right, next on. Vision Line ethanol cars. I missed out on these. In fact, I didn't even know they were made up until this past 2025 York Train Show. I had learned about them, I think, through somebody at the Lower Susquehanna Model Railroad Club who had bought them, and I looked up a video. Eric's Trains had did them from when they first came out. I used to work at a tank car facility, and I'm a big fan of tank cars. I think Atlas makes the best tank cars. No Don't hate me, Lionel. They just add a little bit more, that little extra detailing. But that being said, I'm a huge fan of Vision Line rolling stock. I love the cattle cars that I got a couple years back, and I was very, very upset that I missed out on buying these secondhand from the original run. And now I don't have to be, because they not only do these include all the features of the original run, they also include the extra, what is it, impact sensor, I believe. I think it already had the curve for flange squeal, but it includes the extra impact. So this is 100% on my list. Um, I don't know which ones I'm going to go for, but being that I actually dealt with the 2200 series, 22, and then whatever after that from GATX, these are close enough to the ones we had at our facility that when I look back at my paperwork, this is about the closest I could get. So probably going to go for the all black one. I know there I was eyeing up these, but we never dealt with the white ones. Those never came into the facility. It was only ever all black. I really like the white black. It's really really cool. It's a lot of color, extra pop. Um, but at $300 each, money is a factor here. So for sure, gonna get one. I'll probably just end up getting like the 612, the one not shown, and just stick with one for now. I have a bunch of other tank cars I can mix and match. Maybe eventually end up getting the 3-pack set. I want to kind of see how this works out first, and then maybe pick up the pack at a later time. Go from there. And then here we go, the big Alleghenies. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Allegheny. The Challenger is a better design for my opinion. 4664 instead of a 2666. This just looks like a boxy engine to me, and I'm more of a diesel guy anyway over steam. Um, yeah, I'm not a fan of the Allegheny as a design. I feel like this area of the engine looks weird. There's something wrong up here for me. I'm not a big fan of this detailing on the front. I know that's how the actual engine was. I just don't know what it is about it. It's just like a straight vertical wall of steel, and yeah, it's impressive and that's cool. I believe this was the most powerful steam engine ever built, based off of limited videos I've seen. It's more powerful, like horsepower and torque wise, than a Union Pacific Big Boy, for example, I believe. Could be wrong though. I don't know steam. Steam is cool. I just don't know steam like I know diesel. I haven't worked with steam, and yeah. So when I saw this thing, I audibly cringed. That was I just I appreciate the Rio Grande as a Rio Grande modeler. I appreciate that they are offering Rio Grande items. Um, I believe in the last 6, 7, 8 years, there's been a Rio Grande something offered in every catalog almost. I know 2018 they did the Vision Line Challenger. I know like 2023 they did the Rio Grande Ski Train. 24 I think was the H7, which they tried to pass off as an L131, I believe, but there was just it was close if you squinted your eyes or if you didn't look up if you had never looked up a picture of an L131. But once you pulled up a picture of one and then you look next to the H7, it's like, yeah, no, that's you're dressing up East Coast steam in the West Coast power paint. I appreciate what they're trying to do. I love Rio Grande, um, for the mountain scenery that they went through, and the Colorado Rockies and stuff. But um, yeah, this is it's cool. Uh, but it's also it doesn't take a rail fan to know like, hey, this is an East Coast. It's called Allegheny Mountains. It's not Rocky Mountains. I feel like they could have the Norfolk and Western one. Fine, I understand it. I get it. Okay, I get it. This could have been pretty almost anything else east of the Mississippi. You had a couple. Oh almost 100 railroads to choose from. You could just done about anything. I appreciate it. I do. It's an Allegheny though, not a Challenger, or just not for me. Superset's cool. We talked about this in our Discord over at the O-Gauge podcast, Evolution podcast with Joker. Um, this is just a neat set. I'm sure whoever's going to order this is going to be very happy. Um, there's nothing wrong with it, and it's got a lot of unique cars, big old set, and it's a good price for if you break it all down. It's a good price. If you really think about it. Also, seen this set, saw a lot of people complaining about not having the coal loads. Yes, they're coal cars, but don't forget there's nothing wrong with them not coming with coal loads. Coal trains ran empty. They ran loaded one way and they ran empty the other. You can't always have your coal trains loaded, is my opinion. I see people who put a coal load in their car and they just leave it, and your coal train is always loaded. Yes, you can take it out. Most people don't. Um, I appreciate the fact actually that they are removing the coal loads. One, it lowers the cost, but two, you can put rocks in here. You can put stone and ballast, and it doesn't always have to be coal. It can be other commodities. So um, I'm not against Lionel taking away the coal loads for a separate sale. Keeps the price down, and um, for someone like myself who I get coal cars, and a lot of times I'll just take that plastic coal load out and I'll put in either my own fine crushed coal or rock or ballast or something else than a plastic lumpy coal load. I don't need any of that in my life. So I am one very very happy that they are taking the coal loads out of the cars and not including them. It makes sense that there's a set later on that included it because it's a coal set. That makes sense. But in this case, these are just two bay hopper pack, two bay hopper 10 pack. Sorry, and yeah, no, that's fine. Your coal train's got to be empty at some point. It can't always be loaded, in my opinion. So that is completely fine by me. And basically $70 per car. This is going to be the older, I believe the older fully molded plastic detailing. So simple little cheap little cars, and you can make a set out of them. Okay, here we go. T1s. As I said, not a huge fan of these, but I did have a short 2 month little stint on the Reading and Northern as a trainee conductor before I messed up and got fired. I have seen this engine one time in my entire life, and it's cool. It's cool. Uh, Never seen it run though. Never rode behind it. Never heard it. Never. It was just in the roundhouse when we were moving some stuff on the turntable that day. So, not hating on it. It's just, in my opinion, a little overrated. And then we got more versions of a T1. Um, if that's your thing, that's your thing. Crusader. Paint job is real, and the engine's real, but the paint job on this engine is not. It's really neat that they are offering the double-ended observation so that you have the streamlined look no matter which way the engine's running. I'm not sure what the correct amount of cars is for the Crusader. I believe that's what they're trying to mimic here. So 5 cars total for a streamlined set could be something that I believe was trying to mimic the Nebraska Zephyrs, the Burlington Zephyrs. Um, Somebody will tell me if I'm wrong, but that's just my personal thought without having much knowledge on it. I think these are trying to mimic that, but I don't actually know. This was way before my time. And here's that coal set I was talking about. So this is really, really cool. If I was into a T1, I would do it, but so with my time on the Reading Northern, we did run a coal train with the SD40s. That was really neat. So I'm familiar with this logo, Reading Anthracite Coal. I ran these cars, I climbed on these cars, rode these cars, loaded them, unloaded them. Really, really cool. Not unloaded them. We loaded them and then shipped them out. Excuse me. Then we come to the hybrids, 4 rows. My interest in these is stops as when I, as a kid, I had a plastic version of one of these. That's about where my interest stops on them. So none of those were cool to me. But here we are at the Dash 9s, and I thought that this engine right here was immediately caught my eye because I have seen 647. I have a picture of 647 out in the Midwest. I want to say it's in Minneapolis, one of my rail fanning trips. So that interested me, but unfortunately, it is no kinematic pilots, no updated tooling. And for 700, it's just like I can find something for around half this price on the used market with the same paint scheme, um, probably from Lionel from the 90s. Uh, Southern Pacific would be cool too, but that's a little bit after when I'm trying to model with the Rio Grande. But I always thought that these were neat. Although, if I'm going to get a diesel like this with this paint scheme, I would probably go for their AC 6000s. Those were just that little bit more beefy of an engine. Uh, who knows? Maybe I'll have to see when these come out, what they actually look like, and go from there. But my heart's set on that GP40, so these may have to wait. For sure, War Bonnet or Southern Pacific, one of those, pretty cool. Uh, E7s, they're streamlined. No, thank you. Uh, I've been inside one in the museum. They're just cramped. They're odd, different. Not a fan of them. GP20s, they're a little older. Some cool paint schemes, but these are these could be cool if you're trying to do like a co-op power. There's some GP20s left around for some of Nebraska Farmers Co-op. Um, I don't believe there's any active GP20s left on any of these. Like Union Pacific doesn't have any that I know of, and obviously these are all fallen flags. And you don't need a demonstrator unit when you have the newest SD70s and GEVOs Tier 4 stuff. So as far as I know, these are not rostered anymore, and you can maybe find some hanging on dear life that have duct tape holding them together somewhere out in the Midwest. Okay, so back onto the hopper cars. To the best of my knowledge, I saw some confusion between these cars, and I want to skip ahead a little bit. These cars here, people were saying they don't come with trucks. To the best of my knowledge, up here, and I could be wrong, it says easy conversion available separately. I'm wondering if that means you can select if you want 2 and 3 rail trucks, and that's why they're not shown here. So you just pick your paint scheme and then pick your trucks. Um, I don't know. That may be so, maybe not. Um, but if that is, then that explains why they don't have the trucks on the artwork, and then also plastic body with molded in detail right here on the 4740. Whereas if you go back here, this does not say it's plastic molded in details. So at the higher price point, 140 versus, go back here, $90. So what's that? $50 difference. Then that tells me, with the extra bits here, that this is a higher end car with separately applied details, which means it's not going to be the old Weaver tooling or the old Lion Scale tooling or whatever. This would be a nicer, higher end car. I'd say mid tier, not Vision Line, but not your bottom of the barrel cheap stuff. This would be like a nice midline car with separately applied details, as it says right there. Yep, I just saw it. And operating couplers, pivoting heads, and hidden tabs. Hidden tabs being underneath the wheels. I'm liking that Lionel is going to the rotating bearing caps. I freaking love seeing that. Most of the time, you're not going to see it rolling by, but when the train's going, scale of 5-10 miles an hour, you can definitely watch it roll by and watch the bearing caps rotate. I love that. I wish that becomes standard for Lionel, and I'd buy the crap out of those because they're awesome. I might have to go back through my current fleet and try to figure out, separate cars by trucks, whether they have friction bearing or roller bearing, and if they have roller bearing, if the roller bearing actually spins. Um, this Cargill one did interest me. I used to work for Cargill for a little bit as well. Um, So I actually might order one of these. I think I might. I don't know if I'll pre-order one, but I'll definitely want to pick up one at some point. Um, out of all the offerings on this page, um, feature sprung trucks and pivoting coupler heads. I believe what that means is that the coupler here is attached to the body, separate from the trucks, or at least it pivots separately, kind of like a kinematic pilot. Um, that's that's what I'm thinking it's gonna mean because the auto racks that they made, that they just came out with this year, sorry, the end of 2025, and they delivered. The auto racks are the same way as the trucks are further back from the coupler, and the coupler is attached to the body on a pivot system. I'm wondering if that's what this means, so that instead of the coupler attached to the truck in one rigid thing, assembly, sorry. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. But that's if they're pointing it out, that's what it makes me believe that's what it is. Um, I saw a lot of people were liking this car. I think it's kind of cool, interesting. I already have a Vision Line set 3 pack of sheep stock cars, so I'm gonna pass on this one. But I understand why people are interested in it. Kind of neat. Also, did consider this one. The Lionel trains inside of a Lionel trains boxcar. That's really cool, and it's scale. Um, it's definitely going to be out of place if you just have, for example, like I'm into the Rio Grande. If you have a Rio Grande GP40, that Vision Line, you have a bunch of Rio Grande cars, and then boom, Lionel Lines boxcar, and then Rio Grande Caboose. It's a little out of place, but that doesn't make it any less cool. I love that it has the interior detailed load. Um, I want to see that more from Lionel. I definitely want to see more detailed loads. I know it's just a piece of plastic essentially that just sticks inside the car and it's hollow behind it. That's fine. It's just gives the illusion and it's pretty neat. Not into these. I mean, I love the multi-wheel flat cars. Have a small collection of those, but with the big cans on them, not a big fan. Uh, these are alright, I guess. DODX. I like the fact that it has the nuclear symbol on there, and do not hump. And these are what they would look like. It has the friction bearing trucks, so this would be an older model. Same thing with here. No roller bearings there, so it's not modern. It's a little older. Passenger cars, Reading. These are for railroads I don't model. Or back to the old ones. Being that I was out in Nebraska, I have seen one of these actually in Sioux City, Iowa. Farmers Co-op Grain Supply, Minden, Nebraska, and I've also seen the Transportation Corps of America version. That's why I got that name mixed up and with that. So Farmers Co-op Grain Supply and then Transportation America, they have the same red-white paint scheme. I've seen the transportation one. I've not seen the Farmers Co-op exactly, but there's plenty of these like one-off cars rolling around out there in the Midwest. If you keep an eye trackside and you pay attention to what's rolling by you, out in Nebraska, out in Iowa, you'll probably come across this car. It's out there. I might just order just the one road number and not two, but um, I think it's cool. And you can get two rail trucks on these. That's neat. Some old hoppers here. Some I guess scale 2-bay hoppers. These are cool if you are into modeling this era. These have the friction bearing trucks. So this would be um, pre-mandate. I forget what year that was. I don't know if it was the 70s or the 80s. Definitely by the 1990s, I believe they were mandated into roller bearings, or at least they were. Whenever they went in for the rebuilds or refurbishments, they had to be replaced. I think the FRA was somewhat lenient on that and let the railroads replace them as needed, due to the fact that they had to replace tens of thousands of wheel sets. Still some more hoppers here. Road names I don't model, but they are cool if you are into that. All right, steel-sided box cars. This is something that I feel like a lot of people were sleeping on. Yeah, they're cool, but look down here. If you read this excerpt, these are the first three experimental cars in the United States. And it says here Pressed Steel Car Company. These are they built five. Lionel is showing three as test cars used extensively around the country. Car number one made its way to New York Central and had the dubious honor of being loaned to Pullman Standard for impact testing with one of their new designs. Impact testing, guys, that's just hitting the car. I mean, if you ever seen a hump yard or you just back an engine into a car a little too hard and just see how durable it is. That's it. You just beat the crap out of it, and it's steel. Um, this is car number 100,000, and that's a lot of history right here. This is the first modeling three out of the five first steel cars, transferring from I believe from the wooden cars that they were made of wood before, and testing how steel would do. Guys, I mean, if you don't think that's cool, I mean, come on. This is a set not to sleep on. This little three-pack set, there's history behind this. There's a specific road number with it, with a specific paint scheme, and it's just very, very niche. And you don't even have to model New York Central um, to appreciate this set. I'm Rio Grande West Coast. I would get this because it went around the country. They went from east to west and back to east again. Most, if not all, railroads eventually tested steel cars. They switched from wood and went to steel. This is huge. Lionel, great job on pulling this out and um, showing that history. I think that's really, really cool. I see a lot of people skipping over this. They're just looking at, these other box cars, and they're not looking at this three-car set. This is not just a three-car set. It has history to it. Car number two, car number three, and car number 100,000. Very, very, very cool. I'll probably end up getting one of those. Oh boy, Lion Master Big Boy. I have a um, bigger layout. Well, a small layout, but bigger curves, and I I don't really have a big interest in the Big Boy, to be honest with you. The Challenger is more of my kind of thing. A Mikado or a consolidation, one of those steam engines. Definitely up my alley. The Big Boy, it's cool. Um, I like the Challenger, which is just a smaller version of this, but I don't need to worry about the tight curves. I have 072, even though I'm running in a small layout. Just a loop of 072. I don't have to worry about it. This one right here, GP7, scale size, Lion Chief Electronics, Maryland and Pennsylvania. These ran out of York. If you go to York Train Show, these ran from York down to Maryland. This is a hometown hero, local legend, whatever you want to call it. Definitely some neat history on this railroad. I like the paint scheme. I like the yellow and black. It's neat. It's neat. You don't see this represented in O scale much. So, um, if I was to order one of these, it would definitely be this one. Who knows? I might do it after the catalog comes out. Maybe a year or two from now, I can find one for a little less than that. A little used, a little loved, a little bit of time on it. Bring that price down. Be manageable to more reasonable than you're paying almost legacy prices for Lion Chief. I don't know what these are. Never seen them before. I think I get the concept. It spits ties out or something. Not my thing. And then we're into the sets. These are just your starter sets, or you can buy the set and just add on to your current, as an expansion, your current collection. That's cool. Um, I have one for Christmas. They cataloged years ago. Not my cup of tea here. Keep on going. Some anniversary cars. This jet car. There was a Rio Grande one that I just saw on eBay the other day. I missed out on getting that. Um, Man, I wanted to get that, but it's cool that they're offering all. They have the tooling. They're offering a crap ton of road names and variations and paint schemes for this catalog on that car, and yeah, if you like the model, it's cool. I just wish I was able to get the Rio Grande version because that's the one I'd be looking for. Star Wars, Hogwarts, Harry Potter, yay. So coming over to the Winnie the Pooh, this is I lately over the last year I've been collecting some interesting semi-scale cars like Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and this car actually jumped out at me. This was kind of cool. I watched Winnie the Pooh growing up throughout the 90s or in the early 2000s, and it's the 100-year anniversary. I don't know about paying $115 for this, but I like the concept. I like that they are even bothering to celebrate that anniversary. They didn't have to do that, and they're not offering just one car. They're doing three, including a honey car. That's neat. For the people who have childhood nostalgia, that is cool. Will I be getting one? Probably not for those prices, but I appreciate that they're making it. Maybe I can pick one up for used prices at a later date. Um, some semi-scale cars here. Skip over that. Budweiser, not my thing, and also not Area 51. More Star Wars. Polar Express. The movie was cool. I can't see myself spending hundreds of dollars on a complete magic train fictional paint scheme, but that's fine. And then, of course, this cool advent calendar that uh, features Polar Express themed items for your Polar Express expansions. And this is also a neat addition. Vision Line, North Pole reindeer car. Um, Again, if I was into the Christmas stuff, I think it's neat. I already have a Christmas set, um, so I'm good there. And this is the Christmas set I was talking about. So I have the Thomas Kincaid Christmas set from Lionel from a few years ago. I have a couple of add-on cars. I might end up getting this. It's just another car to add to that set, and it'd be a match. So that's cool. That's cool. We'll have to see how that looks. And we're coming through the end of the catalog here. They are offering this passenger station, and we already passed a few of them. There are a couple different variations. Um, I believe I already have this station. This is XMTH Tooling, and it was Rail King. But I don't know if it because it was in a Rail King box, if it was semi-scale or if it was full scale station. But basically, I already got this one. It's a cool station, guys. If you're thinking about putting something on your layout, it's pretty big, and it has the two additional platforms which you can put on the other side of the station. You can extend this one, or you can use them elsewhere in the layout for um, like a whistle stop station or something like that. New switches, manual powered, and they dropped the price. That is awesome. That's fine for me. Run some fast track on the floor for a quick layout, setup, takedown. That's really cool. $70 a switch. That's a lot easier on the wallet than a powered switch. Um, and then of course your back of the catalog stuff with memory modules. Just getting into all this stuff myself and learning about all this sensor track and um, wiring stuff. So I'll probably look into getting a couple of these and do some cool stuff with automation on the layout, but we'll have to see about that at a later date. Uh, Coming here to the end of the catalog. Yeah, so this is the end. And by the way, I did want to also mention for anyone who does watch this, congratulations to the Lenny winners. Eric's trained for Best YouTube. I've been watching Eric for over a decade now, and he's had a great influence on getting me into the hobby and um, pointing out some of his early reviews, pointing out early details, and just appreciating the models for what they were. Um, Best train store display, Mr. Muffin's. Never been over there. I was in Indiana once. I was gonna go over there, but I never did get to see it. Also, never been to New Jersey High Railers. Unfortunate, but hopefully I can see it, the new version of their layout when it's built. RPP Chris, I've talked to him a couple of times, met him before. Cool guy. You make some great videos, sir. Props, kudos. And Legacy Station, they're down in Georgia. I'm in PEA. I've never ordered from them or through them, but I'm sure that they got this through, because Eric's always promoting them on his videos because that's his local train store. no surprise there, but congratulations to all the Lenny winners. So, guys, that wraps up the catalog. This is going to be my first catalog review. I hope I've offered some insight with my personal experiences through the railroad, my short railroad career on RailServe, and a couple of months on the Reading and Northern, working on those locomotives and working on that railroad. Being able to offer some insight on these really cool GP40s. Um, I will finish off with one quick story. When I was on RailServe, we had a locomotive catch on fire right here, actually. We had a traction motor fire on the front axle. Some grease dripped down onto a loose electrical connection, and the engine caught on fire, just like they are showing here. That's when I knocked myself out and broke my nose when I ran into a pipe. Fun story, but this is realistic. I had this actually happen to me. I have a personal connection to this, so I for sure will be getting a breakdown unit, man. This is exactly what happened to me. I've experienced this exact thing. 3822, which is that old B&O GP40. When I was standing right here on the back steps doing a shove move, one of the oil lines let go, and it went kabooey through these fans and radiators at the top and showered hot oil um, onto my jacket. Thankfully, I was wearing PPE and a couple layers, and it was wintertime. Um, so it didn't hurt too bad. I had full protection, but man, um, I can relate. I can relate to the breakdown unit, man. This is really freaking cool. I've lived through it, been there, done it, and I'd like to get this model to tell the story. To tell that story for sure. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention before I go. Lionel did some great research, by the way, on the Rio Grande units. I only mentioned this on Mad Trains live. Rio Grande number 3115. That is the unit that wrecked um, down in southern Colorado somewhere, and it was involved in a big derailment, and it got cut up and scrapped. So good kudos on Lionel for doing some research. I'm sure they didn't pick that number by accident, and that they were doing the breakdown unit for an engine that actually broke down and wrecked. So props there, Lionel. I like that. I like that for sure. I'm interested in the 3128, as I said, for that reason. I'll probably get 3115 at a later date as money comes in, and then yeah, go from there. But that's just my 2 cents there. Hope you enjoyed the stories and the expertise that I could share, and my from coming from a viewpoint of a ex-conductor. And yeah, guys, just get out there and keep the hobby going, keep promoting it, and keep these guys in business. Buy their trains, run your trains, enjoy the trains. At the end of the day, it's always your railroad, your rules. So buy what you want, run it how you like it, prototypical or not, and have fun. So this is David from Grand Trains, signing off on my first catalog review. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and looking forward to meeting some of you at York Train Show this spring, if possible. And till then, stay safe. I'll catch you out there. Catch you next time.